My name is Grace. I grew up in a house where silence was a form of prayer, and every dress I wore covered my collarbone. My parents were not just religious, they were the guardians of my soul. They told me that a woman's heart is like a secret garden. If you let too many people in, the grass gets trampled and the flowers die. Wait for the one God chooses for you, my mother would say while brushing my hair. I took those words to heart. While my friends in college were navigating messy breakups and crying over ghosting, I was in the library. I had never been on a date. I had never held a hand with romantic intent, and my lips, they were untouched. I was 28 years old, and I was waiting for a fairy tale that the modern world said didn't exist. It happened on a Tuesday. I was working at a small community library when a man walked in, looking like he belonged on a yacht in the Mediterranean rather than a dusty corner of Ohio. His name was Sebastian. He was older, perhaps 35, with eyes the color of flint, and a smile that seemed to understand secrets I hadn't even told myself. He didn't just ask for a book, he asked for my opinion. He came back the next day, and the day after. My best friend, Sarah, warned me. Grace, look at his shoes. Those are $1,000 loafers. Men like that don't fall for library girls from strict families. He's a hunter, and you look like a trophy. But I was blinded. Sebastian sent white lilies to my house every morning. He spoke about traditional values and how purity is the rarest jewel in a world of glass. I thought he was the answer to my prayers. I thought he was the one who would finally unlock my garden. 3 months into our courtship, if you can call it that, Sebastian took me to a high-end restaurant. Over candlelight, he looked at me with a hunger I mistook for passion. On the drive home, he pulled the car over. That was the night I lost my first. Not my innocence, but my first kiss. It wasn't like the movies. It was intense, slightly overwhelming, and left me trembling. "I can't wait, Grace," he whispered against my skin. "The thought of someone else even looking at you kills me. Let's go to Vegas, tonight. Just us. No parents, no rules. Let's start our life before the world tries to stop us." In my naivety, I saw this as a grand romantic gesture. I packed a small bag, left a note for my parents that would eventually break their hearts, and flew into the neon lights of Nevada. The wedding was a blur of white lace and cheap organza in a 24-hour chapel. When the minister said, "You may kiss the bride," Sebastian didn't just kiss me, he claimed me. But the moment we reached the hotel suite, a penthouse with gold-leafed ceilings, the mask slipped. Sebastian didn't want to celebrate. He poured himself a glass of neat scotch, then another. His phone buzzed incessantly. He walked onto the balcony, speaking in a low, cold voice about mergers and publicity. When he came back inside, he looked at me not as a wife, but as a chore he had finally finished. The wedding night I had saved myself for 28 years was cold, mechanical, and silent. The next morning I woke up to the sound of a suitcase zipping. Sebastian was dressed in a charcoal suit, looking impeccable. "There are papers on the table, Grace," he said, not looking at me. "It's an annulment. Sign them." I felt the air leave my lungs. What? Sebastian, we are married. He laughed, a dry, hollow sound. It was a bet, Grace, and a PR move. My board of directors thought I was too much of a playboy to handle the new tech merger. I needed a pure, wholesome wife to fix my image for the weekend. Now the news has hit the wires, the stocks have jumped, and I'm bored. You're too quiet, too simple. You don't even know which fork to use at a gala. Go back to your books. I returned home in a state of shock, only to find my suitcases on the porch. My parents didn't want to hear about my broken heart. To them, I had eloped like a thief in the night. I had shamed the family name. "You made your bed with a stranger," my father said through the closed door. "Now sleep in it." I had no money, no husband, and no family. Sarah took me in, letting me sleep on her cramped sofa while I cried until my eyes were swollen shut. One day, while cleaning Sarah's kitchen, I saw a business magazine. Sebastian's face was on the cover. Sebastian Thorne, the man who fooled the market. The article detailed his whirlwind marriage and how he had used it to manipulate stock prices before amicably separating. Something inside me snapped. The shy girl who waited for permission died in that kitchen. I went to a lawyer. Not a cheap one, a shark Sarah knew from her work. "He thinks I'm a simple girl," I told the lawyer. "Let's show him how expensive a simple girl can be." Because Sebastian had been so arrogant, he hadn't bothered with a prenuptial agreement in his haste to win the bet. In the eyes of the law, I was the wife of a billionaire. The legal battle was ugly. Sebastian tried to intimidate me. He called me, screaming that I was a gold digger. I simply replied, "You bought my life for a weekend, Sebastian. Now you're going to pay the full price." The media loved it. The virgin bride versus the wolf of Wall Street. I didn't hide. I told the truth about his manipulation. I didn't want his heart anymore. That was garbage. I wanted his security. I won. The settlement was enough to buy 10 of the libraries I used to work in. My parents called me when the check cleared. They spoke of forgiveness and family reunions. I told them I loved them, but that my garden was now fenced off. I would see them for tea, but I would never live under their shadow again. I bought a small, beautiful house with a massive garden. I went back to school and got my master's in library science. I am 30 now. I am no longer untouched, but I am also no longer afraid. I still believe in love, but I've learned that the most important person to save your heart for isn't a husband. It's yourself.